Welcome back to San Diego, everyone. Today we're gonna cross the bay to explore Coronado Island. On this walking tour, we'll visit the legendary Hotel del Coronado, but beyond this iconic hotel, we'll dig deeper into Coronado's fascinating history, grab a classic burger at an old-school diner, kick back at a lively beach bar, and uncover what makes this house so special. And with that, let's go ahead and start the tour. We're kicking things off by taking the ferry from downtown San Diego to Coronado. The ferry is operated by Flagship Cruises and departs from two locations: the Convention Center Terminal, where I started my journey, and the Broadway Pier a little further north. I'll be returning that way later in the video. The cost is $9 each way or $18 for a round trip, and the ride itself only takes about 10 minutes. On this trip, they actually used one of their smaller boats since the main ferry was being worked on, but it was still a smooth and scenic ride across the bay. One of the highlights of the crossing is the view of the iconic Coronado Bridge. If you don't want to take the ferry, you can always drive across the bridge instead. The bridge was completed in 1969, stretches 2.1 miles across the bay, and is supported by 27 soaring concrete arches. At its highest point, the bridge rises 200 feet above the water, tall enough for even US Navy ships to pass underneath on their way into San Diego Bay. And a quick note, while it's often called Coronado Island, it's not technically an island. It's connected to the mainland at Imperial Beach by a narrow strip of land known as the Silver Strand. After this short and beautiful ride, we arrive at the Coronado Ferry landing, the perfect starting point for exploring the island. This area has plenty to offer: restaurants, shops, and activities like jet skiing, or you can even rent a bike to explore the island on two wheels. I'll actually be bringing you back here at the end of our tour to show you a really cool spot before taking the ferry back to downtown San Diego, so stay tuned for that. Now let's leave the ferry landing, and after a short walk we pass Tartine, a popular European-style cafe by day and bistro by night. I didn't end up eating here myself, but it's a local favorite with strong reviews, so definitely a good option to keep in mind if you're looking for a meal. Next, we're heading up Orange Avenue, the main street that runs through Coronado and leads us to the main area with the Hotel del Coronado, but before we get there, we check out some more places along the way. As I continued my walk along Orange Avenue, the heat of the day was definitely catching up with me, and I was more than ready for a cold drink. Luckily, Coronado has its very own brewery right here on the avenue. This is Coronado Brewing Company, a true pioneer in San Diego's craft beer scene. They opened back in 1996, making them one of the early innovators in what has since become one of the most famous beer regions in the country. It's a full-on brew pub with a menu of food to pair with their beers, but I decided to head straight to the bar for a refreshing pint. It was the perfect way to cool off and recharge before continuing my walk down Orange Avenue. As we continue, you'll notice the wide tree-lined median that runs down the center of Orange Avenue, and it's more than just landscaping. Many decades ago, this avenue served as an important conduit for streetcars and trains. Rails once ran right through the median, connecting the ferry landing to other parts of the island, even serving freight and passenger routes. In fact, the Coronado Railroad began operations in 1888 and lasted for about 83 years until 1971, helping transport residents, visitors, and supplies to key sites like the Hotel del Coronado. And before the railroad, there was even streetcar service on Orange Avenue until the late 1930s. Today's wide layout harks back to that era, and locals still fondly remember the tracks that were once a defining feature of this village-style main street. It's a subtle historical thread you might miss, but once you know, it brings the past to life. Here we are passing the Coronado Public Library. Founded in 1890, it originally operated from temporary spaces before the Hotel del Coronado's owners stepped up. In 1909, John D. Spreckels, who we will hear more about on this tour, funded the construction of the Classical Revival Library building, which still stands today as the charming and original Spreckels Reading Room, now part of a much expanded modern library. A little further on, we pass the Coronado Police Department, which occupies occupies a historic spot that used to be the early 20th century Heilmann Villa's bungalow court, built in 1922 in the Mission Spanish Revival style and now listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Next up is the Village Theater, an Art Deco gem that first opened in 1947 with a Technicolor double feature. It became a beloved hangout for locals before closing in 2000. After a $3 million restoration, it reopened in 2011 with 3 showing rooms and stunning hand-painted murals by Disney artist Bill Anderson. As we continue, we arrive at Rotary Park. During the holiday season, the park's 120-foot tree becomes the star of the show. It's decorated with more than 2 miles of sparkling lights and serves as the centerpiece of Coronado's annual holiday parade. Another fun fact, this is also home to the locally famous Coronado Flower Lady, who has been brightening the corner here with her blooms since 1981. Our next stop is the Coronado Museum, located inside the historic Bank of Commerce building. Built in 1917, this early commercial landmark later became the longtime home of the Coronado Historical Association, and since 2000 it's been the home of the Museum of History and Art. The museum is free to visit. I highly recommend stepping in if you want to dig a little deeper into the island's story. Right as you walk in, you're greeted by an old laundry vehicle from the Hotel del Coronado, a reminder of just how central the hotel has been to the community for more than a century. Inside, you'll find plenty of fascinating artifacts, many of them connected to the hotel's past, along with displays that highlight Coronado's unique heritage. There's also a short film that shares the history of both the town and the Hotel del, filled with interesting facts and stories that really bring the past to life. It's a small museum, but definitely worth a visit for anyone who wants to go beyond the shops and beaches and get a feel for Coronado's history. Next door, inside the same historic building, you also find Little Frenchie, a highly rated French bistro modeled after a Parisian neighborhood cafe. Now we turn right onto Loma Avenue, taking a quick detour over to Star Park Circle because you'll find a delightful hidden gem right here. The bright yellow home of L. Frank Baum, where he rented space and wrote Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, The Emerald City of Oz, and The Road to Oz. While you're here, pause to admire the League of Wives Memorial at the center of the circle, a tribute to the military spouses who courageously advocated for POW and MIA service members during the Vietnam War. Next to it is another memorial honoring U.S. Armed Forces service. This little detour is a subtle reminder of how deeply intertwined Coronado is with the military, through history, community, and daily life. Coronado is more than a seaside escape. It's home to major Navy installations, including Naval Air Station North Island, often called the birthplace of naval aviation, and the Naval Amphibious Base, which trains elite forces like the SEALs. Now, heading back to Orange Avenue, just ahead is your first glimpse of the majestic Hotel del Coronado, our next stop. Immediately, its iconic red turrets and gingerbread Victorian charm stand out as Coronado's crown jewel. Opened in 1888 and now operated by Hilton as part of the Curio collection, this magnificent beachfront resort is one of the largest wooden structures in the US and proudly listed as a National Historic Landmark. Let's start with the exterior. The hotel's facade, veranda, and front porch were painstakingly restored to their original 1888 designs in recent years. If you're interested in delving deeper, the hotel offers guided and audio tours. I took the guided 90-minute tour for $45 and it was a highlight. It granted access to rooms and spaces off limits to most guests. The tour starts at the Ice House Museum, located along the driveway by the Porte Cochere, which itself houses intriguing artifacts and provides fascinating details about the history of the hotel. The Del was originally the vision of two entrepreneurs, Elisha Babcock and Hampton Story, who wanted to build a seaside resort that would rival anything on the East Coast. But just a year after the hotel opened in 1888, financial troubles forced them to sell. That's when John D. Spreckels stepped in, purchasing the property in 1889. His influence shaped not only the future of the Del, but also much of Coronado itself, which we'll see more of later when we visit his historic mansion. And in case you're wondering why it's called the Ice House Museum, it's because this small building was originally used to store massive blocks of ice to keep the hotel's food and drinks cold in the days before refrigeration. Just outside, you'll notice the grand porte cochere or carriage entrance where horse-drawn carriages once pulled up to deliver early guests in style. Today, it still serves as the hotel's main arrival point, keeping that same sense of old-world grandeur. And now it's time to step inside through the main entrance. As soon as you open that door, you get that wow feeling. The stunning lobby, once called the Rotunda, is a visual time capsule. Delicate white oak woodwork has been meticulously stripped and restained to match its original finish. Historic stained glass windows, including 21 lost ones, have been recreated, and the famous birdcage elevator is still in operation, complete with refurbished bronze grills and open-air charm. Now here's a fun fact. When the hotel first opened, rooms cost only $2.50 a day, and that price even included 3 meals. Compare that to today, where a night typically starts at over $400 depending on the room and season. Here in the lobby, you can also head upstairs to view the restored coronation window, a stunning stained glass piece designed in 1887 by architect James Reed, depicting an allegory of Coronado's crown. It features over 700 colored glass pieces and was fully restored and reinstalled in 2021. One of the stately rooms we visited on the tour was the Crown Room, the hotel's original main dining area with a soaring 33-foot ceiling made of Oregon sugar pine. The Crown Room, along with the Coronet Room and Ocean Ballroom, has hosted historic events like banquets honoring the Prince of Wales and a celebration of Charles Lindbergh's transatlantic flight. Outside, the garden courtyard features the Naiad Queen Fountain, a replica installed in 2024. The original bronze statue of Venus rising from the sea was created in 1887 by French sculptor Charles Cordier and stood here until 1912. Just beyond the courtyard, the hotel opens onto Coronado Beach. I strolled past the playful beach and taco shack, caught musicians playing in the sand, and enjoyed the beach boardwalk views. Heading right takes you to the guest cottages, and if you go the other way, that brings you to the picture-perfect sun deck, a great place to grab a drink and watch the sunset. Just beyond here is the hotel's pool area. Today it's a lively spot with cabanas, cocktails, and sweeping views of Coronado Beach, but it actually has a long history. The original pool was built in 1926 and was one of the largest saltwater pools on the West Coast at the time, complete with a diving platform and even a water slide. While the design has changed over the decades, the pool has always been a central gathering place for guests at the Dell. Back inside the hotel, the Babcock and Story Bar immediately stands out with its stunningly restored original mahogany bar, named in honor of the Dell's founding visionaries. Nearby, you'll encounter some boutique shops, and as you exit the hotel, don't forget to pause at the dragon tree planted prior to the 20th century. This iconic tree appears in the background of Marilyn Monroe's beach scene in Some Like It Hot. Leaving the premises of the hotel, I walked back along the driveway past the Ice House Museum again, and then past the historic Oxford building, Coronado's first hotel built in 1887. It was carefully moved and restored on the property in the 1980s and now houses hotel offices. Just across Orange Avenue, we arrive at the Bluewater Boathouse Seafood Grill, housed in a historic landmark built in 1887, 1 year before the Hotel del Coronado. Originally used as a boat storage and rehearsal structure for construction workers, it later served as the headquarters for yacht clubs, the Scripps Institution of Oceanography, and famously became the 4th Chart House restaurant in 1969. After extensive restoration and a move closer to shore, it re-emerged in 2014 under the Bluewater name, now offering sustainable seafood with gorgeous bay views. While I didn't dine here myself, their menu typically features fresh options like fish tacos, lobster rolls, and a variety of locally sourced fish paired with signature sauces. A short walk beyond the boathouse, you'll find stunning murals that vividly preserve the memory of Coronado's tent city. This resort was created in 1900, once again by, you guessed it, businessman John D. Spreckels, who had purchased the Hotel del Coronado about a decade earlier. His goal was to make seaside vacations accessible to the middle class, a stark contrast to the luxury of the Del. Unfurnished canvas tents rented for just $1.50 to $2.50 per week, while more upscale furnished tents with beds, linens, rocking chairs, wash stand, and even electric lights went for about $6 per week. Compare that to the Hotel Del's rates of $2.50 per night at the time, and you can see why Tent City became such a hit. It had its own newspaper, bandstand, and even a police force, creating a true vacation village. It thrived for nearly 4 decades until 1939, when economic changes and all the troubles that came with World War II led to its closure. Today, the murals beautifully preserve that forgotten era, transforming a wall into a storybook of Coronado's inclusive resort history. From here, we turn around and head back towards the ferry on the other side of Orange Avenue, where we encounter more historic places. Here we are at Glorietta Bay Inn, where the historic Spreckels Mansion anchors this charming boutique hotel. Businessman John D. Spreckels, who, as you learned on this tour, owned the Hotel del Coronado, most of Coronado Island, the streetcar lines, Tent City, and more, moved here permanently after he and his family were deeply shaken by the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, which destroyed much of his San Francisco residence. The disaster prompted him to relocate south, finding stability and opportunity in Coronado. By 1908, Spreckels had commissioned architect Harrison Albright to build this Italian Renaissance-style mansion on 5 acres overlooking Glorietta Bay. It featured a marble staircase, brass cage elevator, skylights, and was built with reinforced steel and concrete, an intentional safety measure, especially after having lived through that quake. Walking through it today, I truly felt transported back in time. The intricate doors and elaborate details immediately stand out, and there's even a piano in one room. Sometimes you'll hear guests play music here, which only enhances the timeless atmosphere. It's a place I'd highly recommend for a quick stop. Stepping inside feels like stepping into a beautifully preserved moment of Coronado's past. As we continue along Orange Avenue, you'll pass the Henry, a popular spot known for breakfast, brunch, and lunch that is always buzzing with locals and visitors looking for a hearty meal. Soon after, you'll come across something truly special, Clayton's Coffee Shop, a classic 1940s style diner with a genuine horseshoe-shaped counter. The only original horseshoe counter left in San Diego County, and one of the few remaining ones in the entire US. I walked in and settled at the iconic counter, ordered a cheeseburger, which was delicious. More than that, the place just oozes personality and nostalgia, a true slice of Americana. I highly recommend it. After this, there isn't too much to see as you continue strolling along this side of Orange Avenue, so just relax and enjoy the walk. At one point, you'll pass Spreckels Park, a peaceful green space and home to community concerts in the summer. From here, we'll make our way back toward the end of Orange Avenue and on to our next stop, Centennial Park. As we cross First Street, we step into this small but historically rich green space. It actually marks the site of the original Coronado ferry landing, where ferries carrying horses, buggies, and later automobiles docked from 1886 all the way until the Coronado Bridge opened in 1969. Today, the old ticket booth stands preserved here, an inviting reminder of the island's early connection to the mainland. As you walk towards the waterfront, you'll notice a rock monument marking the birthplace of naval aviation. This site honors Coronado's role in aviation history. On December 23, 1910, orders were issued for Lieutenant Theodore Ellison to report to flight training on North Island, launching naval aviation in San Diego. In 1963, the Navy commissioned official recognition of Coronado as the birthplace of naval aviation. Looking out across the bay from here gives you one of the best free views of the San Diego skyline. A scenic pause that's both relaxing and cinematic. If you turn right and walk along the waterfront promenade, you'll eventually head back toward the Coronado ferry landing. Before we hop on that ferry back to downtown San Diego, I'll take you to one more gem at the ferry landing, the Coronado Tasting Room, my personal favorite way to wrap up the tour. The Coronado Tasting Room and its sister store Fass are located in the same space. Here you can enjoy wine, whiskey, and tequila flights along with local craft beer, cheese plates, and light fare. I visited during happy hour and went with the house red wine. To pair with it, I ordered warm bread served with olive oil and balsamic vinegar, which was delicious. And this is where the sister store Fass comes in. They specialize in olive oils and balsamic vinegars. And the best part is you can taste them before you buy. My personal favorites were the Maletti Bianco Balsamic, the Jalapeno Extra Virgin Olive Oil, and the Red Pepper Extra Virgin Olive Oil. I always enjoy olive oils that have a little kick. You can purchase bottles here in Coronado or order online later if you don't want to carry them around, but tasting them first makes it easy to pick your favorites. With that, it's time to say goodbye to Coronado. I hop back on the ferry to downtown San Diego, this time heading to the Broadway Pier terminal. This route offers a slightly different perspective on the bay and is especially scenic. You get incredible uninterrupted views of the San Diego skyline cruising right alongside the waterfront. Compared to the ferry to the convention center terminal, which takes you closer to the Coronado Bridge, this ride offers a much better look at the cityscape and it drops you off right in the heart of downtown. Another highlight on this route is passing by the USS Midway Museum, which sits permanently docked along the Embarcadero. The USS Midway is an aircraft carrier that served the US Navy for 47 years from 1945 to 1992, making it the longest serving carrier of the 20th century. It was commissioned just after World War II, played a major role in the Vietnam War, and even took part in Operation Desert Storm before being decommissioned. Today, the Midway is one of San Diego's top attractions. Visitors can explore over 60 exhibits, walk through restored crew quarters, see more than 30 aircrafts on the flight deck, and even experience flight simulators. It's a great opportunity to step aboard history and get a sense of life on an active duty carrier. This scenic ferry ride is truly the perfect way to wrap up a day exploring Coronado. And now, since the ferry drops you off at Broadway Pier at the Embarcadero, I recommend checking out my Seaport Village video next, or click here for the full San Diego playlist. And with that, I say thank you and Dankeschön!